everyone to Eve Consciousness TV. And today we're having an introductory Eve Consciousness session where we're going to do an overview of Eve Consciousness. And then most interestingly, we're going into questions and answers. So I look forward to having your questions come, and we can work with applications of Eve Consciousness individually, okay? Or whatever it is that comes for you that you would like to look into further. This is going to be spontaneous. So I welcome those that are with us now on the screen, and I welcome those who are joining into the recorded session afterwards, okay? Knowing that all of this is coming together in perfect divine timing, and that we're all here at this time as it is meant to be for us, okay? So in a moment, I'm going to change your view of the screen. I'm going to make it to where we only have my picture on there, so you'll be seeing me as the presenter. And I'm going to ask if you would be willing to mute your own microphones. And please look, as I change the screen, look at the bottom of your screen, those who are with us live, where it has the chat icon at the bottom. So I have a chat screen up, and it means that when you feel inspired to ask a question, I'd like you to write your question in there, okay? Let's see. Okay, there we are. So again, I want to welcome everyone.
Oh, lost you.
And ask if you will please mute your own screen. You'll see the microphone at the bottom, and you can mute that for now until you have a question if you'd like to ask it verbally. But I do ask, if you would, feel free to go ahead and write a question to me as well, okay? Now, for those who are joining us through YouTube, I invite you to send in questions. Eve Consciousness is a new conversation for the world. There's lots to be learned about Eve Consciousness, and your questions help to draw out the understandings of this consciousness, okay? So allow your heart to speak and allow yourself to tune in and bring through your questions when they come up, okay? Again, I want to ask when you come on, if you will mute your own microphone. And let's see.
Working.
Okay, and if you have questions, just write them into the box. So as we begin, everyone, I'm going to ask if we can do a little meditation together, and I'm going to start with a bit of sound. As some of you know, that part of the conversation and the technology of Eve Consciousness is about vibrational frequency. It's about understanding what it means to be a vibrational being living in a vibrational reality. As we understand that, we understand more about the tools to change that vibrational state that we have access to. One of those tools is sound. Okay, so I'm going to bring up these little sound makers at the moment and actually raise the frequency as we come together through sound. And we're going to tune in through meditation for just a couple of minutes before we move forward with the conversation, okay? So welcome all. If you will, please take a deep breath in. And as you let it go, allow your mind to begin to calm itself and focus on your breath. You can close your eyes if you'd like and listen to these sounds for just a moment. Continuing to keep your awareness focused within, feeling the breath of life that is moving to you and through you, representing the breath of life that has been moving to and through the human race from the beginning of time in this journey, this human consciousness journey on planet Earth. taking a deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine a violet light coming down through the top of your head and filling your body. A soft, gentle, glowing light. Imagine this light bringing you into higher awareness and connection with the mind of God, the all-knowing mind of which we are all a part. We are all extensions of this mind. And taking another deep breath in. As you exhale, imagine a glowing golden light coming alive within your chest and your heart area, filling your connection with the heart of God. You and the heart of God are one. You are joined. Feel the eternal presence and love that pulses within you every moment. And feel at this moment the essence of who you are, which is beyond this mind and beyond this body, beyond your own thoughts. You are a presence that continues on, even after this body is no more. Take one more deep breath in. And imagine this violet light within you moving down through your feet into the earth. Seeing yourself now as joined to heaven and to earth. You are a bridge between spirit and matter, a bridge between God and man. You are now holding that presence that joins heaven to earth. You are now holding that presence that we know as Christ consciousness, the bridge between God and man. Feel yourself as a spiritual being having a human experience. And taking one more deep breath in, very intentionally. And let it go. Please turn your palms up. And allow yourself to receive these sounds, these words that are from a non-human language. Some consider it an angelic language, a Holy Spirit gift called speaking in tongues or light language. Allow the energy recalibrations that it will bring. Ishia nainanamniosukonde. Jagaya yon yon gai isikia donde lakanta shokonde le isikindi. Raikaya ya ono moye isika. Losua shikanda li atatompo ke. Lisi tondandai tadadarobaria sakante. Taking one more deep breath. And as you exhale, you can be opening your eyes. And as I was bringing through the words, I was seeing a spiral, an energetic spiral of light being brought around each of us. Imagine that now, you being surrounded by a bit of a cocoon. This cocoon helps to restore from without. It restores the memory of who you are, of what you are, an extension of God, a child of God who's made in the image of that which we call God. It means that you have all of the divine gifts and the spiritual understanding that is beyond our laws of nature in this physical plane. It means that you're a miracle maker. You're an energy shifter. You have the ability to create. And creation starts with an intention. It starts with holding clarity in your mind of what you would like to create. It is through this focus of intention that we and the world and everything around us was created. Now we are able to walk the same footsteps and be that same essence, a creator being that creates through the heart, that creates through focused intention. And today we're here to talk a bit about that. So those who've joined in since we began the focus, I wanted to invite you and say that at the bottom of your screen, you'll see where there's the chat bar. I'd like to invite you to put any questions in that you have as we speak today about Eve consciousness, okay? So I'm just going to move forward now with a conversation that recaps Eve consciousness. For those of you who are new to this conversation, welcome to the conversation of Eve consciousness. Eve consciousness is the current era that we're in. It's an era of consciousness evolution, and it's the third era of human consciousness evolution. We've had two before us. So let's take a minute right now to talk about what has been. We're talking about what has come to us in the past. Just a moment. Okay. There we go. So in the past, we came in intentionally. We came in as souls who wanted to journey through this human endeavor. And we came in and had what we call the dive. Now, there's a lot of paradigms that have talked about the fall. We've considered that humanity somehow fell from grace, as if something went wrong that was horribly unexpected. And the first message, foundational to Eve consciousness, is God was never a victim, and neither were our ancestors. So all of humanity has been alive as soul before coming into this physical form. You know, in the Old Testament, the Bible says, before you were formed in the womb, I knew you. This is God saying, I knew you before you came into this body, okay? So Eve consciousness is here to remind us that we are participants with a higher plan, that we consented to a journey through this physical reality that would advance us as souls and that would bring gifts for the whole universe. We came here as journeyers to contribute to beautiful expansion to all that is. So as we came in, we intentionally dove into the era that we call polarity consciousness. Now, polarity consciousness has never gone away, but we started with pure polarity and nothing else. That means we dove into embodiment in a physical form, in a three-dimensional reality, with a capacity to endure all of a huge range of possibilities. It means we dove into a world that had extremes. These are the opposite poles, hence the term polarity. So if you think about a magnet that has the North Pole and the South Pole on it, you know, it has two different poles of magnetism, and you can put one end to the other and they repel, and if you flip it over, they attract, okay? So understand that we are naturally repelled from one end of those poles. We're naturally repelled from that which we don't like. And we're naturally attracted to the other end of the pole. So some look at this whole polarity consciousness as like a ladder that has a high end and a low end. And the high end is what we call a high frequency. It's attractive. It's something we enjoy. It's pleasurable. It's light. And the low end is a lower frequency that's not so fun. Okay, this is where there is suffering. This is what we tend to resist. There's a repelling, the force that exists between us and that. So whatever is individual to you as your own lower end of the frequency is all the things in life that you don't like. Okay, all of the episodes that you've had to suffer through, the challenges in relationships, the challenges with your physical body, the challenges that you've come upon in the dynamics of life itself. This is what we would call the lower end, the dark side of your experience, okay? And the light side, the higher end, is all the joys and pleasures and ease that you've had in life. Okay, so naturally we tend to go, I like hanging out over here. And when we dove into this reality of polarity consciousness, we didn't really have any understanding of how to navigate ourselves and be intentional about our experience. So as we came here as humans, we ended up running into lots of things that we didn't enjoy very much. There was a lot of suffering and quite a raw experience to the human journey in pure polarity. Now let's talk a little bit about what we achieved as we went through this very raw experience of polarity. We dove into this human form and we began to compare instantly one thing to another. Do you know that your body and your mind are comparative vessels? You are constantly comparing this or that. You're saying, I like that color, I don't like that color as much. I like driving this car, I don't like driving that car. Or I don't like it when my car breaks down. Or I like this pair of shoes and those shoes hurt. I don't like them so much, okay? I like this flavor of food versus that one. So we know what extremes we're able to compare and say, I definitely like this, I don't like that. And then we've got a middle ground that are closer together. I kind of like this, I might like it a little bit more than that, but we are constantly assessing and comparing, even subconsciously. We're accessing information, we're partaking of the frequencies around us, and we're translating it into the mechanism of our mind and our physical experience. Did you know that your physical body is sensing feelings all the time? Did you know that before you translate something into an emotional response, you sense it physically first? When you become very aware, you will be able to sense, where do I feel this emotion in my body? Where do I feel that? What does it feel like? You'll be able to interpret your own emotions as a physical sense, because that is how it hits us first. We translate what we feel physically, a very subtle, energetic feeling. We translate it into a judgment and an emotion. We translate it into our response. I want to let you know that we have the capacity to alter how we translate what we feel through the physical body. We are able to make changes in how we interpret those feelings. And that's going to be very key as we move further along in our conversation about Eve consciousness. That we're able to intentionally shift the story that we tell ourselves and the interpretation and judgment that we make when we feel that first hit of a response on our physical body. We can change what we make of that. And as we do, we're able to open up possibilities to change our outer world that we haven't had access to before, when we were just randomly feeling and reacting, feeling and reacting, feeling and reacting. So we've come into an era where we know that we have an ability that we didn't have any knowledge of in pure polarity consciousness. So let's go back to that. Imagine the early days of humanity, feeling completely victimized, feeling completely out of control. Life happens to me. Life happens to me. I have no power over it. All I can do is try to figure out how to navigate myself amongst this world of happening to me. I'm trying to figure out how to cause it to not annihilate me. This is what we're coming to. So welcome those who are joining us as we're amongst the show. And let's see. There we go. Okay, so I want to tell you that from here, from our point of pure polarity consciousness, where we completely feel out of control and we're just reacting and trying to survive, and we have this feeling of survival, of defensiveness, of trying to protect ourselves from this dangerous world that we have no control over. We also perceived our source essence. We perceived the divine from which we come. We perceive God as a very distant, outside of us experience. We saw God as something that we needed to commit sacrifices for. We were putting fruit and drink and food offerings up to God. You know, there's many religions around the world that are still doing this practice today, trying to create an outer bridge between ourselves or appeasing that God in one way or another. You see, so what does that mean? We started out polarity consciousness with a sense of separation, a sense of guilt, and a sense of powerlessness. Okay, so we didn't feel worthy of looking eye to eye with our source. We didn't feel worthy of standing face to face without putting forward some peace offerings, some bridge to help make us more valuable to that source. Let me give you things. And the Old Testament represents this, okay? We've got the teachings of the Old Testament that many religions are built upon. And those teachings show a human culture where we are making sacrificial offerings to an outside-in God. We're trying to help appease. And you know what we're doing? We're hoping that we will gain favor by that which we believe has control over this reality that we are powerless within. We're in our powerless state, and we're crying out to that which has power and saying, please help me, please smile upon me, please grant me some blessings. Here's my gifts. What else can I give to you because I'm not worthy? I'm not worthy of looking upon you. I am guilty and I am separate. This is polarity consciousness. So understand that as we walk through this journey, this first chapter of polarity consciousness, we were concluding and we were understanding more and more the world around us as time passed. So as we were walking that journey, and we were comparing this and that and noticing, when I do this, I don't like that outcome. When I do that, I feel like I get a better outcome. So we're finding that we indirectly feel a sense of control over time. We're noticing that over time, we are able to at least indirectly make things feel a bit better. All right. Now, another thing is happening. We're suffering a lot through this journey. And the longer we have suffered and felt consequences for our actions within ourselves.
Did you get to that one? And it says,
if you would, I'm going to ask that everyone mute your phone, please. I mean, mute your microphone. There we go. Just want to make sure that everyone on with us have muted. So as we've moved towards the end of polarity consciousness, we've evolved enough to actually be able to start feeling our own feeling of pain when we see it in another. So understand that over time, suffering leads to compassion. This was one of the gifts of polarity consciousness, pure polarity, lots of suffering. We begin to remember our pain when we see it in another. We remember our pain. And as we remember our pain, the seeds of compassion begin to awaken. Excuse me just a moment.
I got it.
I'm just going to shut down a couple more videos and mute. Excuse me just a moment. Here we are. There we go. Okay. So as we progressed and we moved into a readiness to start to feel our own heart and our own compassion for others' pain as we saw their pain, then those that are on the leading edge, those who were the most advanced of the human excursioners, and those of us who had moved forward enough, were able and ready to take on the new seeds of Christ consciousness. This is when we crossed into a new era, the new energy hit. And as we moved into that, a new reality opened up for us, a new reality. Okay, so Christ consciousness is stage number 2. We moved into an era that awakened our hearts. We moved into an era of compassion and forgiveness and love. And we began at that time to see a new message about that which we call God. The New Testament brings us stories and teachings from Jesus that taught a new way. It was in complete contradiction to the old. Okay? We moved to a place where instead of condemning and judging and punishing, we were asked to forgive. We were asked to see ourselves in another. Jesus spoke to the villagers who were holding the stones to stone the woman who committed adultery to death. And he said to them, if you haven't sinned, you cast the first stone. Everyone put their stones down and walked away. Why? Because they looked upon her and realized, I'm the same. I'm no different. This is the introduction to the era of oneness, where we begin to see ourselves connected to the other, to treat our neighbor as we want to be treated. Why? Because we are that, and that is us. We are one. So this new oneness consciousness was introduced through Christ consciousness. We're introduced to a new perception of a connection to God through the heart and a God within. We're not being asked to make outer sacrifices anymore. We're being told to receive forgiveness, to ask for forgiveness, to feel the value of one who is forgiven. What does that mean? It means we forgive ourselves. As we feel the forgiveness of that which we call God, we feel forgiven. I am forgiven. There's no judgment that stands upon me. What does that mean? As I feel my increased value of being forgiven, if I know myself of no longer being judged and condemned, I feel my value. I feel worthy. I feel a new sense of loving myself, of who and what I am. And I feel more worthy and able to come eye to eye with my source, with that which we call God. I actually move into an era where I'm able to say, I too am a son of God. Jesus said, you too are sons of God. I call you my brothers. And also said, greater things than these shall you also do. So in the New Testament, through Jesus, who was an administrator of the consciousness of Christ, but that consciousness was beyond that which we see as being in the human form of Jesus. He said, I go to be with the Father, that you have the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is God's Spirit on earth, available to us at all times, equally to all. So that essence is here. It's an energetic field. It's a consciousness that we all have access to and are communing with if we are open for that communion. So as much as we are willing and able to open ourselves to that, we become vessels, more vessels of the true God essence from which we come than ever before. So as we move through our embodiment of Christ consciousness, we're engaging first the tools and the gifts of polarity consciousness, which include, number one, comparison and choice. Polarity consciousness says, I'm able to compare what I like and I don't like, and I'm able to make a choice and say, guess what? I've decided this is what I want. This is my intention. Polarity gives us that gift. And it's a masculine energy gift. It is an active principle gift. I choose this. I choose. I cast out my hook and say, that's what I want. I'm after it. We think of the male as being the hunter-gatherer, going out to take in the kill and bring in the food, okay? in a way, this is what we're doing. We're being the active hunter that says, this is what I'm going for. I choose it, I select it, I'm targeting it. This is my aim. That's the masculine of polarity consciousness. Now we add to that the feminine of Christ consciousness. Christ consciousness says, I open my heart to receive. I am willing. I am worthy. I am forgiven. I feel well within myself. I am open to receive, and I allow all good things. So what does that mean? Let's think about it. If we apply love and forgiveness to life itself, it means that we are not judging or condemning or resisting anything that is. Now think about it for a moment. If I choose to have more wealth and abundance in my bank account, but if I don't forgive what the bank account has in it right now, and I stay focused on how resentful I am that that bank account doesn't have more money in it, that my bills are sitting there not being paid, if I focus on that, I shut down my cup of receptivity. If I say, this is what I choose, but then I go, I hate it like it is, I hate it like it is, it shouldn't be this way. I don't like my partner being this way to me. I don't like my finances being this way to me. I don't like the job that I'm in. I don't like my body being sick. If I hold that consciousness to what is, I've shut my cup of receptivity. I can't receive what I've intended. So Christ consciousness says, no matter what, I love. Even without life being lovable, I generate love within me anyway. I forgive what is. I forgive myself. I forgive those humans around me. I don't hold judgment. I don't hold resistance. And what does that mean? If I don't judge and I don't resist and I don't condemn, then I'm pretty happy, aren't I? That means even where things are at, I go, it is well within my soul. It is well within my soul. I embody all that is. I embody the infinite essence that creates worlds. I hold within me the Spirit of God. And I stand in joy of all that is as I know that essence within me. I am joyful. I am forgiving. I allow what is, and I celebrate all that is as it is. So you've got almost a little bit of a contradiction, because in polarity consciousness, you're saying, I don't like this so much, I like that more, so this is what I'm going to choose. And then in Christ consciousness, you're saying, and I choose to love everything as it is, including that side of the range. I love it anyway. I'm in charge of generating my love. I'm not dependent on this side showing up for me to feel and be love, appreciation, thankfulness for what is. So as we do that, we play a little trick here. And instead of resisting what we don't want, we open to all things. The cup is open when we're holding love and appreciation. The cup is open when we hold forgiveness and love. This is the tool of Christ consciousness. This is the receptive vehicle. This is the feminine energy. I allow. I love. All is well within my soul. So when we combine that choice with that receptivity, we have the intercourse, the interaction, the coming together of the masculine and the feminine energies. And what happens? We end up giving new birth. The two coming together causes our creation to come through. Those two gifts being brought together in perfect balance and harmony and being aligned together to rightly create what we intend is what we call Eve consciousness. This is stage 3. It is the stage of mastery of these other gifts, of bringing Christ consciousness and polarity consciousness together and working them rightly together. This is the era of creation. So a quick summary, it means that we have moved from polarity consciousness, where we perceive life happens to me. I'm powerless. I'm trying to survive. I feel very insecure. Life happens to me. To Christ consciousness, which says life happens for me. I might not like what's going on, but I believe that there's a higher plan. I forgive my judgment. I allow for what is, because somehow something good is happening. I just know it. Life happens for me. I still, in Christ consciousness, I still don't feel like I'm in control of what's happening, but I allow what's happening. I forgive what's happening. I accept what's happening. I embrace what's happening. I give my love to what is happening as it is right now. Eve consciousness, the era that we stepped into in 2012, is the era whose motto is, life happens through me. I am cause of my world. I now understand. I now rightly align myself to work the laws of this reality, the laws of consciousness. I am now a worker of the dynamics of consciousness knowingly. I bring together my skills of polarity and choice with my skills of Christ and receptivity. And as I do, life happens through me because I choose it, I direct it. I am the maker of the frequency that translates into my entire world. I bring about the reality that is. I choose it, I intend it, I love everything as it is, and when I bring those things together, every time it shows up in my manifest reality. And as I practice these tools over and over, I get better and better and better at bringing in the alignment, bringing in the alignment, bringing in the alignment. And as I do, these steps become more and more natural. I create new neural pathways. I cause my subconscious mind to see the world in a new way, to realize that I am a victim of nothing and that I am creator of all things, to realize that the only way to create change in this outer world is to turn within myself. And as I do, I create a new world. As we awaken to this understanding and exercising our gifts, we together, one and another, coming together as a group consciousness of humans who understand and are acting upon our abilities, we then will be responsible for creating the new earth. Conscious, intentional, through the heart and love. We are the divine bringers of the new earth. We are the divinity opening up into what some call the second coming of Christ. This is the awakening of the essence of heaven through each one of us. We are the Christed beings. The coming of Christ is through us. And as we be that and combine it with our polarity consciousness gifts of choice, we are the divine creators. So as we join hand in hand, lovingly, we become the dominant force on this planet, which eventually shuts down the previous unconsciousness that has randomly been creating unintentionally. We end up causing all to become aware of who and what we are, of what we are capable of, and what our destiny is. This is our role as soul, as creators. Now that is an overview of Eve consciousness. These are the three eras of the human consciousness journey. And we're in the third and final era of third dimensional reality. When we have held the high frequency that we are creating for long enough, we will vibrationally surpass the three-dimensional limitations, and we will move to another state of reality. This has been prophesied in the New Testament as well. In the book of Revelations, we are told of a new heaven and a new earth, and that is what will be manifest when we transcend this reality. So thank you for that. I'm going to put my glasses on and say, it's time for questions. I would love to know what comes to your mind and your heart about the application of Eve consciousness. How can we step forward as conscious creators more and more readily? How do we end up waking up to our abilities with more ease? What comes to your mind? What's the question? Who wants to ask anything about their own life and how to apply the principles of Eve consciousness to create something new? Is there anyone who's joining us now? We've got messages open. If you have any questions, I want to invite you. For those that are joining us on YouTube, I invite you to email in your questions. And let me quickly say, actually slowly say, the email address that you can reach. You can go to the website, which is eveconsciousness.com, and you'll be able to contact straight through there on contact. If you want to email directly to me, you can send that to Leslie Wells, LeslieWells, 5, @gmail.com. Okay, email to that. Now, for those who are joining us today, who are new to this conversation, if you have been referred by someone else, you are part of a special opportunity. Okay, what is that opportunity? There's a raffle going on. You see, Eve Consciousness, the story that I just shared with you, is being formally launched this November in Lugano, Switzerland. We're holding the first 3 and a bit day event of bringing through the fullness of the new story of Eve Consciousness, the deeper teachings of Eve Consciousness, and also the tools, the technology of faith. You will be able to experience new tools that are on the leading edge of what we are able to receive now, the leading edge of scientific discovery, where we're able to even shift our consciousness and release limiting beliefs from the subconscious to where we don't have the blockages that we have held in our mind before, to where we're able to open our beliefs and allow ourselves to receive beyond what we were able to before. You see, the subconscious mind and the fears, the doubts, and the limiting beliefs of the subconscious can shut that cup, can shut that receptivity and stop us from being a match, a vibrational match to what we intend. Remember that EVE stands for energetic vibrational exchange. And as we are emitting an energetic frequency, we receive a match back. That's really what's happening when we put out the intention and then we hold love. We're creating a frequency that is a certain match. And as we work with the subconscious mind, we are able to release limitations to what's possible for us to be a match to. That's going to be happening in Lugano. Even working with the latest technology with light, with hypnotherapy, and with other methods of recalibrating the subconscious belief, you're able to choose what you intend, and you intentionally calibrate that for yourself. That's what's going to happen. So for those who want to join, you can go and take a look on eveconsciousness.com. Click there where it talks about Lugano, and you'll see all about that event. Now, those who have referred others to join us today, email to me the emails of those who joined us that you referred. And for each guest that you've brought on, you're going to be put into this raffle to receive a free seat there at the Eve Consciousness launch in November. Okay, so if you referred 3 people, you're going to go into the raffle 3 times. I want to tell you that that raffle was brought to us by a gentleman who wrote a beautiful book called Just Two Choices. His name is Rico Rakowski, and Rico says there's just 2 choices, the highway or the low way, right? To go with what is, to love and appreciate what is, or to resist it. And he's got a beautiful book, and Rico supports the messages of Eve and wanted to donate this ticket, okay? So Rico has made that available of Just Two Choices. The drawing is going to be on August the 15th. We're going to be drawing the actual winner for this seat in Lugano. So again, if you've referred someone, please email us who you referred to this session. And if you are interested in going into that raffle, then you can refer others to future sessions. We're going to be showing up next week at this same time, so 2 p.m. Eastern Time USA, 7 p.m. London time, on not Thursday, but Wednesday. Next Wednesday afternoon and evening, we're going to be bringing Eve Consciousness TV again. Next week, we're going deeper into the understandings of how to recalibrate your work with polarity consciousness. So how to best use the gifts and how to help your mind transcend the limitations that come in with polarity consciousness. That's what we're going to talk about next week. Now, I'm going to ask one more time, do we have any questions? And for those who want to email questions at a later time, feel free to do that. But for those who are on the screen, I wanted to really emphasize that I'm here for you now. And this is a great time where we can address, what are your challenges? What are your challenges when you are holding an intention, and what are your challenges with an alignment to be a match to that? Do you have anything specific? Are there any parts of life that are a struggle for you individually? You know, sometimes people find that they struggle with things that are an old pattern. Like if you've had a dysfunctional relationship in the past and you're holding an intention for a healthier, happier relationship, but there's an old pattern that keeps wanting to come back, okay? So sometimes we can actually have, we're going to say, you know, patterns that have been engraved into the brain. Sometimes we hold old frequencies that are such a habit for us that it's almost like a part of our identity. And so even when we're holding a new desire and we're focusing in a new direction and believe that we're aligning in it, there's something in the background that seems to be emitting an old frequency and drawing in an old pattern. So how do you change from that? So I'm going to say that helpful these days is to start using these tools that actually recalibrate the subconscious, that actually start reaching the parts of the mind that we're not necessarily aware of. Can I tell you about one tool? This is a tool that we can all take away with us today. And I know that some who've joined us already are familiar with it. It's a beautiful tool that's an ancient Hawaiian healing method called Ho'oponopono. All right? Ho'oponopono began a long time ago, but has been brought to Western culture in a more open way in recent years or recent decades. Now that bringing of this healing method to the public, to Western cultures, pretty much started from the events that took place in the 1970s when a man named Dr. Hugh Lin received a position at a hospital for the criminally insane in Honolulu, Hawaii. Dr. Hugh Lin, who is a psychiatrist, he was experienced and knowledgeable in this tool of Ho'oponopono. This healing tool is something that he used in the practice. Dr. Lin came into his role and came into his office every day, and he would pull out the files of the patients. These patients in this hospital were convicted criminals who had been deemed to be insane. So Dr. Lin would pick up the file, read the history of the individual patient, and learn about the crimes they had committed. Dr. Hugh Lin says that if anything is in our awareness, even if you've heard of something, even if you've seen it on the news, even if someone has told you that something exists that you haven't even seen, it's in your field. If it comes to your awareness, if it comes to your experience, even very indirectly, it's in your field. That means you have access to it. Anything that's in your field, you can touch, you can change, you can make a difference to. Dr. Hugh Lin considered that every one of these patients and everything they had done that he learned of was a part of his own field. He would read about the history. He would focus his mind and open his heart to this person and to the understandings of what their life included that he became aware of. Dr. Hugh Lin would then say these words and hold these energies in his heart and in his mind. Here are the words. He would say, "I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you." He would read the file and say, "I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you." 3 years passed of Dr. Hugh Lin coming into his office, opening these files, and stating those 4 phrases. "I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you." Every day. Dr. Hugh Lin said that when he read the file, he could feel pain within his body. He engaged with this energy to the degree that he felt pain within him. From the pain that had occurred, he felt pain. He connected to the point that he had empathy. He had compassion to the degree that his body could feel discomfort. And as he connected that deeply, he stated these statements. After 3 years of working this work on these files, that hospital closed down because every patient in it became well and was released from the hospital. No more convicted criminals who were deemed insane occurred in that region to come into this hospital. So the field of that whole area of Honolulu was affected by Dr. Hugh Lin's work. He transmuted the energy. He changed the vibrational frequency. He changed his reality, and he changed the world around him. He changed the reality of each of these individuals who were these convicted criminals. Can you see? He brought about a healing by working within himself. This is how Ho'oponopono works. This is the seeming magic that you have access to when you understand the relationship you have to the world around you. This is what Dr. Hugh Lin did. So this is one of many tools. This is one of many pieces of the technology of faith that you can apply to your life. So I invite you today, go away with this new gift. Go away with knowing that you can focus on any part of your life that is not showing up as you would most love to see it. Open your heart to what is. Connect with it. Feel it in your being. If it's discord in a relationship, if it's a legal circumstance where you're in combat with someone, allow yourself to think of the circumstances. Connect with it as if it is you and state those phrases. Bring a healing that defies mental understanding. You are able. You're able. Now, thank you. We have a question from Nelia. I do find old patterns return time after time when I meet a new person in a romantic capacity, and even through friendships. This is so true. Although I'm open and forgiving and empathetic towards others, how do I use Eve consciousness to clear this pattern? So here again, thank you for that question. It's a powerful question, and all of us, have a tendency towards this. So here, let's go into it a little bit. What causes old patterns to keep showing up, even though I'm intending something new, I'm holding a new intention, and I'm feeling love and compassion as much as I'm able to all of those around me? I'm not aware of where I'm resenting. I'm not aware of any old attitudes that I'm holding, and yet I still have got this dysfunctional pattern showing up. Okay, you guys, I know all of us have seen this in one place or another in our lives, whether it's with a discordant dynamic with a boss at work, or a spouse, or a family member, a relative, or friends. Betrayal patterns. You might see one pattern like betrayal showing up in different areas of your life. First of all, can I remind you that Jesus took on these frequencies of betrayal and injustice? Okay, so number one, don't feel like you're a failure or you're not getting there because it's in your life. Okay, we're all progressing and you're doing beautifully. But how do you get to the core when it seems like you're doing all the right things here and yet that old pattern keeps showing up? Okay, number one, we're asking to be shown which is hidden from that which is hidden from our conscious understanding. So it means there's something lurking, there's something hidden in the background that we're not seeing. So the first thing that comes to me, thank you for asking this question, Nelia. The first thing that comes to me is look for words and thoughts of judgment anywhere in life. Be a radar that's looking for, where am I judging that I didn't notice before? Where am I condemning that I didn't notice before? Okay, look for little clues, and keep a little pad and pen with you and find, oh, wait a minute, what did I just say? Okay, I just judged that school teacher. So write down where you're judging. And if you can move beyond the surface judgment, write down what is the premise to that judgment. Okay, because there is a subconscious cause for the judgment and for the outcomes that are showing up. Okay, what is the premise? Is the premise, I can't trust others to do a good job? Is the premise, I get good things for a while, but it doesn't last? Is the premise, nothing great stays with me for long? Or is the premise, I can't trust? People betray me. Okay, look for a pattern of your own judgment and look for, what story are these judgments telling me about? What do I believe for this to show up? What am I thinking and feeling subconsciously that's a match to what's coming in? Okay, so instead of seeing this thing as outside of you, allow yourself to be the detective. Okay? Allow yourself to be the private investigator and say, what do these clues tell me about what I believe that I'm not noticing? What do they tell me? Don't listen to what you want to believe. Listen to what life is showing you. Don't see yourself as disconnected from what's happening. Realize that 100% of the time, what's happening in your life is revealing what you believe. So somewhere in there, you are believing that this is how life is. Even if you say, I'm feeling compassion towards everyone as they are, then you could say, okay, and what I believe in the background is, for me, it doesn't work. No matter how much compassion I feel, I don't get what I want. Okay? Look for signs and symptoms of I am holding a belief that's in contradiction to what I intend. And it might even be, the rules don't work for me. I'm the special one that doesn't work for. Or no matter how hard I try, it backfires, okay? Look for patterns that are indicating where your limitation is. And then read what your conclusion is of what limiting beliefs or thoughts you have are. And go back and say the words, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Okay, so work Ho'oponopono. This is one of the amazing tools. Work Ho'oponopono on the false belief. Take ownership. Take responsibility. Don't see life as happening to you. Know that life is what you are creating. Come face to face with that part of you that's not aligned with it. Find out. Look for clues. What is it I'm really thinking? That little me, the subconscious me. And then, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. Say that to that inner child, to that subconscious mind, and watch your circumstances begin to change. Watch the resistance start to melt away like it did for Dr. Hugh Lin. One more. Okay, Audrey, can you explain to the group how you can attract something like the job you really want? Okay, we're going a little over time here. I'm just going to do a quickie. Thank you, Audrey. How do we really attract the job that we want? Okay. Folks, I've got one word for the most powerful tool of attraction we have. If we are to summarize what our attractive tool is, the word is feel it. Feeling. The word is feeling. Feeling. You can think and think and think and think. You can picture it. You can imagine it. You can paint out the circumstances. You can write down the list of what kind of boss you want, how much money you want to make, what your heart feels like when you go there every day. You can create all those intentions. But if this is just a mental exercise, you are spinning your wheels daydreaming. This is my promise. You're spinning your wheels daydreaming unless you can feel it. This is where most people fall over when they're thinking about the law of attraction, or when they're setting their goals and saying, this is what I intend. You must feel the feeling of it. So ask yourself this: if this is my dream job, and this is how I imagine my day looking, and this is who I see myself being when I'm on the job, a soul expressed, who loves going into my job. Instead of just entertaining the thought or even describing it to other people, engage the energy of it to the point that you feel it. Okay? This is the new skill. This is the new skill. You must move past thought into feeling. When you're feeling it, you are moving the energy. When you can feel it, you can move the energy. Some people are engaging the feeling just by thinking about it. Some people are engaging the feeling, and they might be doing that by accident. If you get excited enough and you believe it enough, you might start to feel it, okay? But I'm going to ask you to step past the thought of what you want and dive into the feeling of what you want. Ask for help. There's a scripture where this man is asking Jesus, help me in my unbelief. I want to believe. Help me in my unbelief. Ask for help. Say, please, dear Lord, God, Jesus, angels, self, Holy Spirit, whatever, my divine source, ask for that which is beyond this small mind to help you to feel the experience. You want to call in the feeling. Ask your future self to skip back on the timeline and say, bring to me now that feeling of the reality which I have not encountered yet. When you can feel it, you can be it. It's not about just thinking about it. It's about feeling it. And as soon as you fully feel a match to that vibrational energy, it will show up in your reality. You've moved the energy. That's my tool for you today. Feel it to create it. Folks, I want to thank you for being with us. I want to remind you one more time to email me. If you've brought on a referred guest today, email me at Leslie, L-E-S-L-I-E, LeslieWells5@gmail.com. And let me know. We're going to put you in for the raffle. And for the rest of you, I just want to thank you for being here, for being hearts open. I want to encourage you to be the creator. Feel it to create it. Feel it to create it. And be blessed. We'll see you next Wednesday if you'd love to join us. We're on Eve Consciousness TV on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. London Time. Bless you all in love.